Hey y'all, welcome back to the finale. I am Panless. I am joined here by Sino, and we are done with the group stages now. Now we are into the play-ins. Play-ins are coming up with it's a GSL bracket basically. SPACESHOOBS versus MAMES WEY, as well as Co versus Core Academy. So basically the way this works is if you win both of your matches today, you advance. If you lose, also advance. So these teams are going to first face off against the third and fourth seeds from either of the groups from group stage in a best of one. They will then, the winners of those matches will then face off against one another, and the winner of that match will be the first team to qualify to the playoffs with the rest of the teams that are already there.
I mean, this is just going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. I mean, just look at this beautiful graphic. Shout out to the GFX. But moving on to the more important things of the day, ladies and gentlemen, the two teams facing it off here tonight, you will have the main SPACESHOOBS themselves with XGS, Teddy, Toaster, Volsper, and Schmink. Why don't you send a picture, Schmink? And taking a look at the other side, ladies and gentlemen, no MAMES WEY themselves, HUD, Teak, the boring Drix in reverse because they didn't drop a picture as well, and the last being Joe. Just look at that beautiful, beautiful face. Today, they're going to be taking their talents onto one map in one map only. They have one chance to be able to play on it before they either go to the loser side or the winner's side, and that takes us to Consulate. Personally, I don't like Consulate, but it is going to be that map that's the neutral ground for either side, so we are going to get to see some play, and hopefully the defenders are going to be able to advance with their sides, because it is sometimes defender sided if you can play it correctly. But interesting to see when we go upstairs to that admin site how players are going to be able to attack it and see if they can coordinate properly, or if we're going to see these attackers fall short.
Something that I do want to mention about both of these teams in particular is that throughout the group stage, both of these teams played Consulate twice, and both of these teams won Consulate twice. They are both 2-0 up on Consulate, and so this will determine which team goes undefeated and which team loses their streak. So it's definitely bound to be a good match. Both of these teams obviously have shown some promise on this map. So it'd be good to see how their play styles clash and see if they've been able to maybe shore up some of the mistakes that they've made and capitalize on the things that they've been doing well.
I mean, I just have one question and one question only. What do you think's going to happen here today?
Well, looking at their win rates on either side, both of these teams have a very strong defensive win rate. SPACESHOOBS so far is 58%. No MAMES WEY slightly better with 59%. Their attacking win rates are also very similar. SPACESHOOBS 46%, no MAMES WEY 43%. So I imagine, considering, especially since this is Consulate, I'm expecting to see 4-2, maybe even 5-1 defensive halves from either of these teams. It'll probably go at least to round 11, round number 12. I wouldn't be surprised if this map goes into overtime. So I think we're bound to have a very good matchup just based on the stats alone. First ban is going to be Dokkaebi, taken out by SPACESHOOBS. She's really good for lurks on this map, plenty of staircases to go up or down all across the map, and has a lot of potential for backstabs as well. Other ban is going to be Blackbeard. Makes sense. Blackbeard, very powerful. One of the shield ops, can repel silently into windows. Very strong.
I mean, the meta currently and the meta going forward, even with CHX, is definitely going to be those shield ops. They've definitely been a problem recently. Blackbeard getting integrated to rosters alongside with Monty and Blitz, regardless of how many times Ubisoft is going to decide to nerf them, it will become a problem constantly. Taking a look, though, both Navy SEALs will take the bans. Blackbeard and Valkyrie, two players who are very, very well used throughout this map and this map only. Azami taking that last ban, probably, if not the best defender at the moment. She can restructure sites, she can restructure areas, and you can even take her on the roam and play like you're running around playing Fortnite. But Consulate is definitely that map where you need to be able to be reliant on your defensive operators. Taking away Valkyrie and Azami are those two safety nets that have now been taken away, and SPACESHOOBS are going to have to adapt to that.
Yeah, consulate, just due to the fact that it's defender sided because it tends to rely a lot on the utility game from either side. You think about top floor executes into the CEO window. You'll see Goyo, Smoke, even Tachanka sometimes on this top floor get brought a lot. Oh, looks like we might need a rehost. Someone's having audio issues. So that's fine. I'm sure we'll get back as soon as we can, but a little hiccup doesn't hurt too bad. But yeah, talking about the utility aspect of this map, it's very important just to win a lot of these rounds. As I was mentioning, the area denial for CEO plants. You think about the vending shield that typically gets put on the other side of the map, that hallway being a very important choke point that defenders like to hold. Sometimes you even see like a Clash playing projector door for some strategies. A lot of teams even like to extend all the way up into break room and coffin, as I am aware it's called. Set up some reinforcements over there, and yeah, it makes it super difficult to push into either side and make the execute go from there. And the way you do that is just the attacker utility, basic siege, you know.
But I mean, I would have been so very happy to be able to say we get that rehost so we can reconsider what's going on. We can talk about what rounds have been played, but I mean, not a single round's been played yet. We can just talk in and out about the map and how it can be played as a team. I mean, Consulate, you were talking about, both teams have experience on Consulate, but really it all boils down to what side they're going to have. SPACESHOOBS, I mean, they were a team I knew were going to come out swinging. They were going to bring out those records, and they were going to continue to push every team that they would play against. No mama's way. I can't say I was expecting them to do what they've done previously on Consulate, previously with their Monty running around wild with an overtime clutch, and I think the second Playday. They've been going crazy. I mean, they're very entertaining to watch, so I think watching them on that attack Consulate is going to be very entertaining, especially if it's that upstairs site first, because there's so many different ways you can attack it.
Yeah, and one of those wins that No Mama's Way does have was actually up against CLB. CLB being the top of their group with a 3-2 record. So a little bit under their belt, being that they were at the top of their group. They kind of show that they can contend with even the upper teams on a map like Consulate. Though looking also at even just the rounds themselves, the rounds won on Consulate in particular, both these teams have won 14 rounds on this map. SPACESHOOBS has only lost 5 rounds, whereas No Mama's Way has lost 10. So it's been a little bit more difficult to get it over the line for No Mama's Way's 2 map wins. Like I said, they also beat the top team in their group to get one of those wins. So a little bit of back and forth on how you want to think about that. Makes it definitely more interesting as a result.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The way they're going to play, I mean, having Blackbeard taken off the board now, you'll be left with Monty and Blitz. Granted, now you can walk around a little bit safer on the map. Pulse is still an option when you go to that archives split site and server, but you can be a little bit safer now because usually that Valkyrie camera goes right down in the admin office and allows verticality to be established quite fast throughout the map, and any lurking player with a C4 can just walk up below in Visa and just toss up any C4 and have these attackers play the floor as lava until every single last one of them is picked off. So again, very smart bans, especially with the currently evolving meta, but right now it's just Shoobs' game to be able to capitalize upon without that Azami Valkyrie.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important thing to mention, is that vertical utility, the Azami being a very powerful operator in its own right. Shoobs liking that operator quite a bit. It's going to be, I do want to see how they want to adapt to the bans that they have done to one another. Looking at some of the matches that these teams have had previously, as far as each of these teams' like biggest issues, at least in my opinion, for No Mama's Way, it tends to be their lack of map presence almost. Like on attack, there isn't enough phantom pressure. On defense, there isn't enough like counter aggression. They end up kind of just sitting around, like more towards site and just letting the attack do what they want to do. And ultimately, it ends up with the execute just going the way the attackers want to. And then on defense, the lack of phantom pressure means that their attacks tend to be very telegraphed. So I want to see them do a little bit more phantom pressure, a little bit more some discovery around the map to make it not as obvious as to what they're going to do. As far as SPACESHOOBS, their biggest issue is that they move around too much. They tend to walk around into cutoffs quite a bit from what I've seen. They tend to want to try and fight like with their entire team against certain pushes, but as a result, sometimes those players coming over to help kind of just walk into cutoffs, they walk into crossfires, and the help doesn't come as expected. So I want to see them maybe just playing a little bit more safely, or maybe just playing those the crossfires a little bit more tight-knit to make sure that they don't get caught off too much. Something else that they do is they kind of tend to rely on floods, or when things don't end up working. It almost seems like an instinct reaction almost. So want to see them try to fix those mistakes. I think the quality of this match will definitely be much improved if both teams are able to do so. So we get to see, but we're getting into the round finally. I've yapped for quite enough. There's Namara on the board. I'm excited to see how that goes. What do you think?
I mean, right now, it looks like they're setting up here for the very, very default rush plant. You have the Ying, you have the Grim, you have the verticality established here, and you, first and foremost, have that Amaru to be able to quickly repel into that building. The easy method is to just grapple into the main barricade and hop right back out. That's the main plan, and if they can correct it perfectly, they'll be able to bait out the pop of the Volcan canisters that surround that window. Something of a little bit of an interesting take here. They have that Thorn. I thought it was just a mistake that last round before we had the rehost, but XGS just looks like he wants to play that Thorn. His Razor Blooms are going to be set, and he looks to be prepared for a run already, like he knows what is in store for his defensive roster. They're looking to execute, and it's all about doing it in a timely fashion. The attackers continuing to send in the Candelas, the drones and the frags, while these defenders lurk and wait for that execute.
Yeah, you mentioned Thorn. She doesn't tend to be high on the operator pick list for the operator that teams like to choose, but bringing the barbed wire, having the Razor Blooms as well, means there's a lot of information just from kind of pseudo area denial. So I think part of that is the reason that they want to go for this. Some Candelas are starting to get sent in, and I think there might be some fake pressure at the moment just to try to make a little bit of space. And Candela goes through, Amaru goes in as well. Trades go back and forth. The plant starts to go down as well, and there's no denial to be had from Shoobs to stop this plant. Never mind. They walk up and take him down, and the players playing on the repels are kind of stuck outside. That's the last of the Yin Candelas as well. Lars has found himself in bathroom, takes down Toaster while Mai goes down. Now it's effectively a 2v2 as Volcerer has been injured and is on the ground. Looks like he'll probably get revived. XGS is at the bottom of yellow stairs as well, so they have a little bit of some pinch potential if they're able to wait it out just a little bit. But we stabilize, 40 seconds left, a 3v2.
They'll get that man right back up. Wolfsburg now going to be at 20 HP, but very, very effective getting back up now that he has his C4 back in hand. Beautiful way to receive that aggression brought in by No Mama Sway. Rush is no longer going to be imminent, and you have 15 seconds left to try to salvage whatever you have left of this attack. Not a single defender on the board wants to play aggressive. They know how important it is to continue to divide the numbers and divide the space in between the sites, so every single pick that they have to get will cost them time. There is a C4. There is a man playing below, but somehow the plant decides to go down. But Schmiggy will win the first one, and it'll be Joe to barely hold on. 75 HP left in his hands in 35 seconds. The clock is with you, but the bodies are not, as a triple kill from Schmiggy gives the first round beautifully to SPACESHOOBS as they'll claim the first.
Yeah, really nicely done on the retake there. Able to make their way through, and even though the diffuser did go down, the man advantage is just a little bit too strong, especially considering one of them had to be on the diffuser, getting the diffuser down. So it was effectively a 1v3 until the diffuser went down. and yet another 1v3 after they fell off the plant. They tried to bait out some movement a little bit using the Ying, threw some in initially to, like I said, bait out some movement, eventually go for the Amaru in through the window, and they tried to get the plant down, but they didn't quite have the coverage that they needed. I think the denial ended up happening just walking up to the CEO desk, and at that point they didn't really have a plan B. The diffuser was cold on the ground. They had to try to get it back, and just didn't have enough time after that point because they were trying to see if they could get a pick first. Didn't end up happening. So good for SPACESHOOBS to keep the man advantage in that scenario and push in through the round win. We now move into the basement.
The basement, indeed. Yet again, this is one of those sites where you have two alternatives to push through. You can either go for the classic server approach or the second classic, which is to get the main wall open and try to apply pressure from either side. Not a single shield op is going to be seen from No MAMES way, but that means there's one opportunity left, and that's going to be to play verticality and to play together, clearing the building room by room. That'll play into their favor because you will have one man by the name of Volsper slowly running in throughout this map. Teller's now, Visa later, and he's going to continue to make some moves to try and confuse No MAMES way, try to draw out their time, and continue to waste what is on the clock. This is going to be an interesting clear now that the verticality is just going to be established regardless. Ram is going to go in the building regardless of what happens. The first boogie taken off the board, and now you'll have Drix trying to address the Goyo as well. And you're going to have to play as a team to be able to clear these roamers because they're going to continuously just get even more aggressive. That Legion was walking up Visa. Now he has established his ground alongside with Schmiggy, but Schmiggy and Volsper both fall quite soon, and SPACESHOOBS' roam now looks very, very weak, as you'll have to take this Legion back to site, but he's already put himself in a very difficult spot unless he decides to just break that hatch and send it down. But reinforced are ready to all calm down, but this is usually the calm before the storm. One Jackal track or one drone finds this Legion, we are going to be in for a very tricky situation for SPACESHOOBS.
And needs to be careful that he doesn't get isolated out. There's a player just around the corner, I think in the Visa hallway. No, actually, he's just outside. Needs to be careful he doesn't get spotted through the window. Half the round left to go, and Shoes needs to find something here. They need to find a pick, and I think that's why Teddy is up here in this Visa area. You can see XGS also walking up the lower spiral stairs, trying to look for a pick, trying to pinch onto this Jackal and to get the kill, shooting him in the back. He's not looking the right way. The pinch works, but Teddy goes down in turn. Trades happening. Siege walks up through the first floor to use the momentum to get yet another pick onto the Thermite, and the man advantage gets a little bit closer, but as a result, the site is now ripe for the taken. Toaster goes down, and now Siege has to retake against 3 attackers.
1v3, the name of the game. Make it a 1v2. XGS is not here to play around. Very realistic in terms of a clutch. He has the C4 intact. He'll have the verticality as well. Oh, attackers, beware, because this DMR can definitely restructure this map. And all he has to do is shoot an arm, but he just knows he can't reach at that length. Twisted, just waiting right below for any form of aggression from XGS. Any drop, and he and his fate will be sealed. Verticality is there, yes, but now you need to hurry it along, buddy, as that timer becomes a problem. XGS somehow manages to fall down this hatch without getting taken care of, but Twisted, quick swing around the corner, 2 bullets to the back will be enough to take care of business, and that will be a round in response from No MAMES way.
Really nicely played from No MAMES way. They managed to take a lot of space in through the first floor, and while there was an attempt to kind of apply a little bit of counter aggression, XGS walking up spiral stairs to kind of help Teddy. You saw that really nice pin happen onto the Jackal, and thanks to that kill, XGS was able to momentum up the stairs. But at that point, that just leaves one person left on the site. The rest of the attack ended up flooding through, getting the diffuser down in just the right spot so that he couldn't be seen from the hatch, and they're able to just play the post plan from there. Really nice early round out of No MAMES way. Ends up securing them that round towards the start, and they were able to just keep the momentum from there. So good stuff. We move on to the mid floor, not electing to go back onto that basement site just yet. Don't want to repeat the same site twice in a row. Give the tertiary site a chance despite the loss. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they hold this. They're gonna opt to hold the top floors. any team is want to do. They're gonna bring Capcan, Legion, plenty of traps in case maybe there's a Monty on the board or anything of that sort. They have the Kite and Mute to keep some of these walls closed for a little bit longer. Mama's Way, on the other hand, has brought an Amaru. They've brought a Jackal, plenty of pushing power. The Amaru actually has the shotgun once again. Looking at entry all the way over an admin, and that's a quick entry into the building. They can take a lot of space off of this if they play their cards right.
I mean, quick entry usually is the best situation possible for Consulate, especially when you drone it up correctly, because this is exactly what's going to happen. Legion taking a nice surprise of Supernova to the teeth, and there'll be first blood here in the favor of No Mama's Way. This site, this mid-floor site, is usually played out here with a Mira, and so is the second floor console. I'm very surprised from SPACESHOOBS that we haven't seen that Mira. They're going to decide to take that open approach to holding the long desk and the catering area, but the question is, what happens when you lose the first body? Because now we're going to watch you guys get pressured from every single area. Floors of Rotero charges are raining in from both skylights. You're going to have that spiral being watched very heavily, and soon after you'll have yellow drop, but not a problem for Toaster, as he will destroy the face of Drix, and now it's left at level.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Drix just going in and run out from a siege, catches Joe, and these players are just getting caught off guard. The proxy alarm giving away Drix's location, and no one else going with him. He ends up getting isolated, taken out. The run out happens as well, and the man advantage swings right back into the favor of SPACESHOOBS, and at this point they just need to play their man advantage. A little bit of a dicey gunfight out of Teak, but does take down Exige, bringing the man count back to 3-on-3. But there's still 2 defenders on this top floor. They need to try to clear this out. All 3 defenders actually on this top floor. They need to clear this out before they want to try to go for this execute. They do have some control. They do have a couple of stuns to make some space, but they need to act on this if they want to get into the side itself.
100%. It's all about capitalizing on your plays. Now, beautiful from Teak to be able to reel it back in for his team, but leaving it at level now still leaves that final hurdle to be able to put your team past. It's left with 6 bodies in total left on the board. The kid is loose, and you guys have below a minute to be able to execute. What is your response? Because you still have to deal with all of the EDDs, because there was only 1 shot in the first couple of seconds on the round. You guys are going to continue to try to play verticality here, but we saw the main problem so far. The right holes aren't established, and if you're going to take the time to do that with the Amaru, then you are in for a nice surprise of the clock, because now you are going to pinch yourselves when it comes time to try to get that diffuser down. One man sitting on Spiral, the other on Yellow, and the last in sight, trying to be that distraction factor, and it's still going to become a matter of, can No Mama's Way hurry this along? Studs looks like he knows exactly where he is, and he is going to approach it, but still, you don't have the time. Is the smoke gonna protect you from the bullets as you're continuously trying to find yourself in the site rep? Beautiful cross, and the plant is looking to go down. No C4 in the denial. A 2v3 is the main idea. Beautiful shots from the Amaru as she continues to deny any form of flank. Can't deal with Schmiggius. He'll take the face off of Teak, and now you're at 1 HP while that diffuser is down, and these attackers have no intention of swinging into your bullets. You need to get aggressive. The roles have now switched. You've become the attacker, and you have a timer against you. What are you going to do? Absolutely nothing, as Rep finds 3 this round and currently just destroys anybody in his path.
No Mama's Way just taking the time to kind of reset there after the man count equalized. Really nice out of them to just make sure they all got into positions, utilize the utility effectively to actually make their way into the site. Thankfully, they didn't end up having to use it to clear out the rest of that top floor, as the defense from Shoobs had elected to fall away later on in that round. So at that point, they're able to just use that utility. You saw the smoke grenade go bottom Spiral, and HUD went to walk up to try to start a retake, and he actually walked into the smoke at just the wrong moment. You saw the player on the upper Spiral stairs just before he lost visibility, ends up going down for it, and the plant's able to go down. So good out of them to get that reset through. I imagine HUD had a big part in kind of wrangling the troops to make sure that no one got too desperate, I guess you could say. And yeah, good stuff out of them. Going back to the top floor, we have the Clash this time around. We have the Goyo. I believe we had it the last time too. We have the Mira as well. So it's gonna be a lot of sightline denial, a lot of pretty much just one-way visibility from Shoobs. Be good to see if it comes into effect. Amaru getting brought once again by No Mama's Way. They seem to really like bringing Amaru on Clubhouse. This time it's going to be Teak. So, interested to see how they change this up or if they go for something similar like they did the last time.
I mean, I just like the way it's been consistently being changed. I mean, either side, really. We saw Thor in the first round, and now we're consistently seeing that Amaru. Clash going to be that new operator that we haven't seen. Kind of excited for that, because if you guys don't know, Clash is going to get a very, very fat buff for Siege X. I mean, maybe teams are trying to integrate their use of her now before it's too late, because 2 Siege events have happened since this was released. It was Reload, and then GCC, and then the OEC event. All 3 events I have watched all had Clash in the main roster. So lots of teams are wanting to adapt to Clash right here and right now before it becomes too late. And that's exactly why we're going to continue to see her. Makes matters worse that XGS is not going to use a shield, just wide swing and take care of rep. No more rush is going to be viable or not realistic, considering now your Candelas have been taken care of and you're going to have to blindly hop into a site with no info and no flashes.
Yeah, and that's going to take a lot of the cutoff pressure from the windows. You saw the very first round where Ying just kind of repelled in the window and just slowly threw a Gandelas in just to make it a little bit more difficult for the defenders to move around. And well, it's not going to be a thing this time. They're going to be a lot more comfortable in their spots. They're not going to have to worry as much. And sure, there's a Grim. Sure, there's an Amaru about to come in, but they'll be ready for it. There's not going to be a Ying to worry about this time around, and it looks like the execute's about to come through. Amaru's getting ready to go in.
That rush just rains right on in. Teak is in there, but completely unaware there's a man sitting close. You heard the prone, but your team's already waiting for you. Perfect teamwork here from Drix. Manages to evade the C4 and actually grab it down before he'll fall. Finished off by Toaster, but now 3 bodies to the 2 for No Mama's Way. Teddy will be down, but not out. But the kid is loose in the middle of the site, and while it calms down, you have one man stuck in catering, and absolutely no responses here so far from No Mama's Way. That down was the only thing you've managed to find. Drix had the right idea, but with just the wrong timing, it screwed him over. He'll look to walk in again, but just look at that siege timing. Walks right past the crosshairs of Volsper, and now it'll be Stud left all by himself in bathroom. Shotgun close, Clash pinging you live, and 4 defenders all wanting their piece of meat while you remain trapped right here. 15 seconds left. It is going to be inevitable that you win this, as this is simply impossible, as Volsper finds 2 in the late stages of the round to find another 4 SPACESHOOBS.
Yeah, I don't know. Just bringing out the Amaru again. The Ying going down early as well. Kind of signaled the kind of take and kind of attack that No Mama's Way wanted to do. They had done a similar thing before, and at that point, if you're SPACESHOOBS, you're kind of thinking that, oh, they're gonna do something similar, and they were pretty much ready for it. It did seem like they started to get caught off guard, but eventually they're able to turn their way to the Amaru coming in through the gray window. The projector window, I guess you could say. And while the Amaru went in from a different spot, the result is it's a little different. Unfortunately, they're not able to apply enough pressure elsewhere either, and a lot of the focus ended up being on that Amaru and the cutoffs happening on the suicide balcony and I believe CEO. Just not enough presence elsewhere, not enough phantom pressure. Ends up telegraphing their push a little bit, especially since the Ying had died early, so unfortunate for them, but good for SPACESHOOBS. The move into defending the basement once again. I believe they were not successful the last time they went to this site, I don't believe, so. Right, it was the 1v2 that XGS tried to pull off. Unfortunately, didn't go his way. So they're gonna repeat the basement bomb site. Schmeek is gonna be on the tuber route this time, and they're gonna be playing for a little bit of information denial. They have the Mozzie and the Mute. They have the Legion for a little bit of roam potential, and the K-Tube to keep the walls closed. Meanwhile, No Mama's Way has brought double hard breach with a Thermite and Habana. Amaru has made their way in through the top floor very quickly like last time, and Legion is looking for a run out. There it is.
First blood on the board, but what a quick refrag to put it right back up at level. Now leaving us at a 4v4, and the pressure will continue to be developing on Rep. I mean, he's managed to get in the building first almost every single time, and usually he's been the one to be able to find first blood, but now the tables have changed a little bit, and he has managed to find a refrag, which is going to kind of change the narrative for this attack because you've now lost your Habana. How are you going to be able to adapt? You don't see can openers on the side of these attackers. Only 2 exothermics that can take care of this hatch, but you're only going to imagine that Joe wants to open up that main breach first. Surprisingly, though, No Mama's Way have not preferred to go back that server side yet, so a little bit interesting to see how they're going to push it as one man pushes in through the closet, the other lobby, while Joe continues to drone out the server side.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the Cade Tube on the board, it's probably going to not be very viable to try to go for that main breach at this point. So they're likely going to have to come up with some other kind of solution. They do have the ram to work some vert, maybe apply a little bit of pressure that way. They have the Jackal to make it a little bit more safe to maybe push on the backside, and actually they will go for the breach. They actually got rid of the Kite Claw, and there's nothing else to actually deny the breach. So eat my words almost immediately. So they have that option now. Good for them. But the thing is that there's a minute left. There is still some time, but they got to make sure they don't let the clock run out too much. They need to figure out where the rest of these players are and start to act on it.
It does become a problem when you guys don't know when to stop in terms of finding that verticality. It's been a consistent problem every single round. It's actually a surprise that this is left at level 2-2, and now you have 30 seconds to try to break that deadlock as 8 bodies remain in total. No Mama's Way finally find that diffuser on the trade-off, but now how are you going to get into that site undetected? Because there are 3 C4s waiting for you, and that just does not seem like a very safe entry into site. An explosive entry, if you may, pun intended. The flashes flying in for Rep, an absolute essential player for his team, landing bullets and continuing to ease up the pressure for his team. And by the time those flashes effects clear up, the plants will go down. Rep can back up. Mozzie's close on the case in the smoke, trying to stick in. The question is, can he find it? But no, Drix is already there to continue and deny. This seems to be a only one-sided affair post-plant, and what a beautiful execute from No Mama's Way.
Yeah, very nice utilization of the time. I was worried as it started to get into those last 30 seconds, but they were making sure to take that time to organize exactly what they wanted to do. They had the players on the vert with the hatch open to make sure if anyone tried to push in through garage with those nitro cells that it wouldn't come to effect. You saw the Tuberao try to do just that and was shut down from the hatch. The smoke grenades through the vert covered the push in from the main breach with the diffuser, and as the stun grenade started to go out, it masks the sound of the diffuser starting to get planted, and so by the time they react, it ends up being just a little bit too late, and they were shut down anyways, like I mentioned. So a really nice adaptation out of No Mama's Way to get that round under their belt and give us a third attacking win on Consulate. Very difficult to really do, especially with the run rates that these teams have had so far. Really impressed by that round and by No Mama's Way's ability to adapt the way that they did.
100%, and I mean, finally, I spoke it into existence. This is the first round out of 6 defenses they've brought this mirror. As they approach the halftime, they do need this round desperately, because if you've given up 3 rounds on attack, or on defense, my apologies, imagine what happens when you get to that attacking area. Becomes a problem when you continue to bless No Mama's Way, especially when you guys were given a 4-on-4 with 30 seconds left in 4 C4s on the board. I don't think I've ever seen a blessed situation like that. One toss of the C4 could have been able to decide the fate of that map. Maybe even a swing into yellow, try to ease up the pressure. But right now, SPACESHOOBS, those individual factors are just not there, and No Mama's Way are just hopping on the opportunity to be able to address that. As you now see, the Candelas from the Ying and Blitz's quick flashes, that's entry if I could see it. Rep is no longer on Amaru, but his boots are already on the ground, and it looks like they're looking to take that upstairs area by storm.
Yeah, for this site, you really need to get some top floor control, some top floor pressure, and the easiest way to brute force that is with the Ying and with the Blitz. I'm thinking that maybe there's going to be actually, looking where the Blitz is positioned, they might actually just try to go for a site hit. Elsewhere in the map, Drix has gotten a cutoff onto Volspur, and they have some information on where some of the players inside the site are. So I think they might try to go for a site hit itself, maybe throw some Ying Candelas up top to make sure that the vert can't be held, and they're going to have another player maybe hop in behind the Blitz at the same time. I think that's what's going to be gone for here. This Kite playing up on this mirror window here isn't really going to have much of an effect. They're just going to get blinded out, and there's going to be nobody coming from the other direction, so the site hit's going to start happening soon. Reapers gets a kill onto Teddy, and it's going to start going off, start popping off in a second.
I mean, they're taking sight by storm. The goo mine is doing damage to HUD, but somehow he'll get a pick and even take care of that goo mine with pleasure, leaving it with 1 minute and 10 left on the clock. And these two defenders just looking like Dory, left in the middle of the map. Not even the site. They just look lost here. You're waltzing down spiral stairs. You're gifted a free kill, but you can't move fast enough to be able to adapt. That's another kill. C4, no connection. And the plant, almost for how many times in a row now, is going to go down. Almost managing to catch rep on that verticality, and we find ourselves in another post-plant situation where Toaster now is going to find himself becoming an attacker. The time is against him. He needs to defuse the bomb and kill 3 people at the same time, and take into account that diffuser time as well. It makes it quite impossible. Joe, ready to take care of the man swinging around the corner, running like a wild banshee. That'll be another round for No Mama's Way as they walk out of that half with a 4-2 advantage.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of banter in the chat, kind of indicating how that round ended up going. You saw the vision with the Ying on the window. The Ying ended up going down to a nitro cell, but elsewhere in the map, anyone over by Visa, even towards like statue, square, front desk, even like top floor, didn't really have much of an effect. And so with the lack of vert being played onto HUD as he hopped into the window, he was able to just walk in, get that free pick onto the mute, and they're able to just kind of snowball off of that. Imagine there were some other gunfights happening around the map, maybe bottom yellow, maybe benches hallway. I'm not really sure where it ended up happening, but regardless, they're able to kind of just flood into the site, brute force it, and even without the Yin Candelas to blind the vert, they didn't need it. They were able to just get the picks that they need anyways, and at that point, they were in a 4v2. They just needed to play the Mant advantage, get the plant down, play the trades, and yeah, a really nice attacking round from No Mama's Way. And yeah, an attacking round on Consulate. They are up 4-2, and they have a chance to move on to the defense and shut this down. They only need to win 3 defenses, meaning that all they need to do is win their primary sites and their secondary sites at least once. So they have an opportunity to shut this down, like I mentioned. Need to be careful about any lurks coming in from Teddy, though.
I mean, maybe that quick entry is going to be something that'll be detrimental to the defense, but I mean, he's currently 0-5. It doesn't really look like he's been detrimental in any form. Looking to try and punish, try to change out that clutch factor. He has 4 assists, so I mean, he's been hitting some shots, 4 to be exact. But now they look to address the site. They've brought that Monty first and foremost. They've used both of the can openers to try to enter catering, and he'll just waltz right on it. They'll have the Grim to assist, no Ying, but they're just going to look to try and address this site head on. No rushes, but they'll be bringing those operators that'll help with a post-plant situation. And add in Teddy to the equation. If he can find one lucky pick, if he can find first blood here, he puts himself in a situation where his team doesn't have to worry about the numbers on against them.
Yeah, you can see a lot of space shooters just moving around the map. Oh, Teddy finds the back of the Frost, but doesn't shoot just yet. Finally gives their position away as the Frost now knows where they are. Is going to call that out to the rest of their team. Rest of the attack is trying to formulate a plan to decide where they want to go. I think initially they were thinking they might want to try to go for a yellow drop, but there's a cap can on the closet door. There's Legion mines as well. Smoke on the board in addition to that, so I think they are electing to choose somewhere else to go. Yeah, Monty has swung into admin. They're going to take this side of the map instead, completely subvert expectations. Kind of use a bit of that phantom pressure to take that space, and they're going to go for this execute here soon. A minute left on the clock, and everyone's still alive.
I mean, 10 bodies below a minute. It's like a caster's dream at this point. 1 kill we could have seen very early was on to that Frost, but I mean, Teddy just threw it out the window. How are we not using a suppressor as well? That takes out the stealth factor of just creeping up the stairs, especially if you can't hit your headshots first time. But throughout, Toaster, Schmiggy, and XGS will be the ones to advance throughout towards that site. They are putting their best foot forward. Not a single C4 will lurk in from below, and all bodies will be in sight, but Volsper finds first blood, but quickly refrag right out. 4v4, and now right below 20 seconds, or 30 seconds, my apologies, is going to be the name of the game. You have to try to waltz in and try to take that plant. No Volcans will be on that wall, but Rep will go down next, and XGS will finish him off. Still, the time continues to go down. We haven't seen this Monty try to attempt to plant. Teddy tries trying to hold down matters from that long desk perspective. But that Deagle out, he thinks he's John Wick, and yes, he is, as he'll find the first, but quickly traded out. Drix takes care of business, but just can't find the next, and it'll be Toaster and Schmiggy to capitalize and finally find a round for SPACESHOOBS.
Something that SPACESHOOBS did really well in that round is just the phantom pressure, just like the fundamentals in that round. They opened up the balcony very early on. They had some pressure over by yellow as well. They probably sent some drones in through there, even just threatening the possibility of a yellow drop. I'm sure Exige made his presence known as the shield player on that yellow skylight. So for a little while, No Mames, I wasn't exactly sure where the attack was going to come in from. They used that opportunity, SPACESHOOBS does, to rotate over to admin, take that side of the map instead. Monty was able to safely swing in because that side of the map wasn't really being held as hard as maybe it was before. We're able to take the space using that Monty, clear out some of the corners within the site itself, and Teddy just being a presence at the top of the spiral stairs the entire round just put it into the back of No Mames Way's mind that he could pounce at any moment, and eventually he does. He does eventually get that kill onto the Frost while the chaos ends up happening, and they're able to get the plant down off of flooding into the site with one another, with the Monty kind of leading the charge, getting the diffuser down as well. Really nice stuff out of them to win that attacking round, and if these rounds continue to go that way, we might have an attacker-sided consulate.
I mean, I've just never seen this happen before. I've never seen both teams make their attacking look better than the defense, and especially on this specific map, it's so large. There's so many areas to be able to ride away in. How have we not seen an archive server hold with a pulse playing in from below? I mean, you just have to ask yourself that question. This take is looking a little bit more interesting, and I think we've been able to say that almost every single round. We haven't seen this before. They're going to look to just approach the main breach. No verticality, nothing. Just frags and good old-fashioned original siege as they look to maybe just flood the site. They have all the operators needed. I mean, Teddy's feeling himself now, going 1-6 instead of 0-5. He's really looking to continue and capitalize on the leaderboard. He's looking to address from that backside while Volsper looks to just walk in from that main door. A little bit interesting. You'll commit 3 people to that main breach without having somebody waiting above. You're asking on that recipe of disaster. No soft breacher. If they had a bandit, you would have been screwed, but Tabaro and Cade is going to be the one disrupting this attacking style. So, honestly, the timer is going to be the only thing that'll show us what's in store for this play.
Thankfully for SPACESHOOBS, no WEY or Jaeger to catch any of the util thrown over the garage walls, so nades are able to get sent through and likely take out a Kite Claw, maybe something else around the garage wall. Hopefully a Kite Claw, they would assume. They should be able to get that wall open if they haven't already. Thermite, Schmeek is going to make his way in through the first floor and actually open the hatch as well, so really good work being done by SPACESHOOBS to get some of these ingresses open into the site. HUD still has a tuber canister in his pocket, and there we go. The execute starts to come through. Shield player of Exige starts to make his way through the tuber canister. He has the diffuser as well, and they can start to get this plant down. The coverage needs to be good enough. They're in a man advantage. They need to be careful not to give too many bodies away.
I mean, how the hell did this manage to work? This might have been the most ranked style looking execute I've ever seen in my life. And we find No Mames Way in a 3v1 situation where Rep finds himself having to get very, very aggressive. What are we watching right here? They just waltzed in on in the breach, some pressure from yellow, and boom, that's No Mames Way defense toppled in about 5 minutes. Yeah, that timeout being requested. Oh, buddy, you're gonna need it because there's so much left to do. You still haven't managed to cinch it. You were given that 2-round advantage at half. You were gifted the pleasure of going on to defense, and somehow you managed to toss all of that out the window for some play where you're not reinforcing the walls that need to be reinforced. You're not denying the walls. You're not tricking the walls. And just honestly, what a topple for No Mames Way.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that the wall got opened up so easily. All they really needed was nades, but we're going to listen in.
I'll say
Either way,
the planner because it's
either way,
over. What do you mean?
Either way,
Okay,
either
Cops,
way.
next time we go down, I'm gonna run a Warden, okay? But let's go top. I'm gonna go Bandit and trick the Pro Wall, okay? And let's run a Mute as
Good.
well for the Grimbies, alright? Let's drop some of the traps, okay? Because we're not doing fast shit. They're playing slow for plants, okay?
Yeah.
Let's keep
You
leashing.
still want the warden?
Keep Legion for Monty. Yes, keep Warden. Let's run Mute, Smoke, Bandit. Mute, Smoke, Bandit, Legion.
I'm gonna go mute.
Warden.
I'm gonna go mute. Where do you want
No
these
shield.
mutes?
No
Like
shield. Just like
neon, where?
for like,
Put the
Neon
plants on
Door.
off.
Neon Door. Probably one for like the CL window Bs.
Yeah.
The rest of
I'll
them
play
doesn't really
Bandit. I'll
matter.
Bandit trick
Okay,
pro.
okay.
You want to do that? I was gonna
Yeah,
do
I'll do
that.
it.
You want
What
to
is
play
it?
Warden?
No, I don't want. That's Teak. Teak got that.
No,
Okay.
no, no. I'm playing mute. I'm playing mute. That's Rix.
No, let me play Mute, bro. You're better at Warden than me. Like
Legion.
you
Okay,
shoot
okay,
better
I
with
got
that
it.
gun.
Oh, I got it. Don't worry. I need nitro.
No shield, guys.
I mean, that was just beautiful. I mean, the way they managed to clean up the comms, I was just laughing in the first 3 seconds because everybody's screaming at once. And honestly, that's granted given you've just given up that 4-2 lead on defense. But now they slowed down. Beautiful comms in general. They've now lined themselves up. They have that play and they know exactly what they want to do. Bandit is now going to be tricking off that catering wall. He's going to be slowing things down. And as long as they can keep that catering wall closed and identify the man trying to play sneaky either from yellow or spiral stairs, then this play is going to be dismantled completely. It's usually the team's post timeout to win the round and try to take that lead. And especially it's going to be needed now considering we are at a deadlock.
Yeah, losing both the primary and secondary site immediately going on to the side switch is not what you want to see. You're gonna have to win at least. They're gonna have to win. I think a tertiary site at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the strat seems sound. They seem to have an idea for what they want to do. Teddy once again on the Nook for the attack of Shoobs. Some execute utility in addition to that with the Grim. They have the Twitch for... I'm assuming they thought maybe there'd be a Goyo, but there isn't. They have the Flores to remove some of that utility as well. And our Breach Charge comes to go through, but it gets tricked. They were not expecting the Bandit trick. So a really good counter adaptation out of No Mama's Way to keep that wall closed. It's working so far.
I mean, just looks like perfectly they managed to plan it out and it's working, but Bandit just can't get there that second time around. You have to be ready for those can openers. C4 raining out, no connection. It does do a couple of ticks of damage, but it just slows everything down. A minute burned off the clock and you use that Bandit trick, but you still haven't taken care of time. It's been your biggest enemy. You've managed to execute beautifully when it's come to the terms of attack, but now on defense, you've either slowed things down too far or you've managed to just reset, wait out the clock. But now we're just not seeing that on defense. The wall being open now on catering. They look to approach from admin side, and it's now the Twitch to take care of all the utility in sight.
Yeah, getting around to the halfway point. Everyone is still alive at this point. Some chip damage has been done to Volspur. A very tiny amount of damage to Reapers as well, but Shoobs is elected to take the admin side of the map, hold some of these cutoffs on Spiral and on the Coffin window. Admin has been taken by Toaster and Exige on the Twitch and the Nomad, respectively. Teddy once again making his way up the spiral stairs. It almost seems like it should be telegraphed at this point that Teddy is going to be lurking his way up to the top of the stairs. Teak gets a Nitro Cell onto Schmeek, and that's the floor is gone. No more utility for him to be able to destroy. Granted, there probably wasn't that much to begin with, but that's still a gun off the board. One that has been getting a lot of the kills that SPACESHOOBS has needed to win these rounds. And as we move into the last minute, SPACESHOOBS with a man deficit now needs to make something happen here and make their way into the vending hallway.
I mean, history just repeats itself twice. We've seen this twice now. The same exact execute, the same exact bodies approaching, but the same exact result as Teak takes matters into his own hands. That'll be 2 for him, but Exige and Volspur team up to try to stop that bleeding, but not in a timely fashion. Hudson Drix, too smart, too ready, as they'll claim the last 2 standing and grab that very well-deserved round. The timeout executed beautifully. That last play executed even better, and now No Mama's Way break the deadlock by reclaiming that lead.
Yeah, they get their first defensive win under their belt, and that's really important to move into these next few rounds. Because even if maybe they, lose the next 2 rounds, they'll still have the opportunity to go onto one of their primary sites. So hopefully for them, it doesn't come to that. They'd like to close this out in 2 if they are able to, but they need to be careful about giving too much map control to SPACESHOOBS, especially for this round. Remember last time, SPACESHOOBS was able to just simply open up the main breach with a nade over the top. They had a few people set up over there. They had the thermite on the wall, the Monty as well, and they sent a couple of players elsewhere throughout the map to open up some more access into the site in addition to what they already had. So a little bit more counter pressure is something that I'd like to see from No Mama's Way. Maybe just maybe even just like a light roam from maybe the Legion, or just something to make sure that SPACESHOOBS can't move around the map as freely as they want. And as I say that, Drix is doesn't in fact seem to be holding this first floor area of the map with piano. I want to see if maybe he can do something, but I don't want to see him doing it alone either. I want to see some help given to him, and well, he's been spotted out early, so that help might need to come sooner rather than later.
To continue to set up, Drix is just going to continue to do the same exact thing he did the last time around. Set up on the Visa side of things. If any pressure is going to emerge, he'll be ready. He'll have that rotate going into the small office. He'll have everything ready that he needs to be able to adapt and play very fast. The breach and no chance of a bandit trick, as it'll just be Kaid. No Tabaro this time, so they've allowed that breach to get opened up quite fast. The question is, how are they going to be able to address it? Surprisingly, no Mira again, and now it just leaves a little bit of an open site with so many gaps to be able to capitalize on. SPACESHOOBS has been that team to find that one thread, that one little string, and to pull on it until all of the options have been exhausted. And now they've managed to continue and do that on this site. The question is, can they find the first pick and allow themselves to build off of the pressure they've built so far in attack?
Yeah, opening up plenty of the map as they need to. They have taken up through this first floor. The roamers pushed down relatively early from No Mama's Way, so they're all just kind of bottled up into this basement area, into the site itself, into the hallways around it, and they're getting pressured minute 30 into the round by this Monty bottom yellow. Needs to be careful of this vert as well, Joe does, because he's in a really bad spot. He's likely going to be playing there to die at this point. They know where he's at. Needs to try to last here for as long as possible. He's going to use the smoke canisters in his pocket to make that happen. You can see all the players just looking in through the vert. You can see the nade that Teddy has in his hand is going to start to force Joe back. They're going to play the vert from there. Nitro Sun comes out. He dies to the nade anyway, and it's a trade that happens back and forth. Smoke goes down, and that's the garage presence itself completely taken care of. At this point now, there needs to be some space made to actually get into garage to get this plant down. The only visibility denial that they have is the smokes in Jackal's pocket, maybe the stun grenades that Thermite has, but they only have 40 seconds to do so.
I mean, poor guy Joe got blown into pieces. Rep the next British operator to take his place. Not going to use his C4. Going to try to isolate that one, but it just becomes a problem now when you're going to play close range with the man himself, punches you down to the ground and bullies you. XGS to find that next kill, leaving it right up at level. 6 bodies in total in only 20 seconds to see how it will play out. Teddy watching the back of XGS. Volsper, the man, the halo above, dropping bullets from heaven as he manages to continue and help out. A whiff from HUDs. Oh, you got to hit those, especially if you can only see his arms. And Drix is now going to be playing Ring Around the Rosie with every single attacker. And yet again, Teddy with that deagle. He's been more lethal with the deagle than he has been with his primary. Will take care of Drix. And now it'll be another response here for SPACESHOOBS as they continue to build up the lead. They've closed out that deficit they were in. It was only 2 rounds, and now it's left at level. Regardless now of who wins this round, we're going to match point.
Yeah, now No Mama's Way will either have to repeat that site or they have to go to a tertiary site. They've elected to go to a tertiary site. They're going to be playing Expo and Piano. Imagine they're going to try to hold it similar to the way that we saw SPACESHOOBS hold it. They're going to try to hold that top floor. They're going to try to play the vert and just try to hold on to that for as long as possible to make the site difficult to actually push into. They brought the Mira. They've brought the Fenrir and Malusi. They brought the Legion. That's a lot of pseudo sort of crowd control kind of utility that they have. Mirror windows might making things a little more scary to kind of push in through. Malusi's Banshees to slow entries down. Fenrir mines to line entries as they try to walk in. The goo mines to slow them down and do a little bit of damage on top of that. So it all kind of works together to make it difficult to take in through this top floor. You can see from the Fenrir's POV, he has a number of them set up over by admin's side. I imagine that the Malusi has her Banshee set up over by yellow's side. So they're going to try to hold this top floor as much as they can. They've even brought the Mozzie that ends up countering out this Twitch temporarily. I really like this setup coming out of No Mama's Way. I want to see them I want to see them hold and play these crossfires to the best of their ability. Make sure that SPACESHOOBS cannot gain an inch when they make their way into the map.
I mean, that's only what every defender would hope to do. And we've seen that timeout. They wanted to talk about denying the breaches. We've only seen that once. I mean, you talk about a timeout, you talk about denying the breach, you only did it once. You were playing upstairs twice. But, you know, they are going to continue and feel the pain of that disadvantage, we can say, because you've talked about what you want to do in the timeout, and now you've only addressed it once. You haven't brought this bandit for upstairs. Instead, you've substituted in the Mozzie to be able to catch the pests. So granted, managed to find that one Twitch drone, but now just look at the destruction upstairs. You've now lost one of the mirrors that help you hold the pressure coming in from the long desk, from the offices, from the admin side. And the only thing that stops these attackers from advancing very fast are the two F-Nots standing in the hallway. No man is going to be sitting in the offices area, allowing this line to just walk up here. Long desk is going to be relieved of pressure, and now these defenders have 90 seconds to try to try to verse out this verticality without falling short at any means necessary. The drone's getting starved out, so is their utility, and it's going to become a problem later in the round when they have none of it. And makes matters worse, they've now just lost a man.
Yeah, and look at the time. We're moving down into the last minute of the round. XGS has gone down, and that's going to be low HP for the end of the round. Probably fine since he's the one with the diffuser, but you'd want everyone to be up if possible. And the defense has, No Mama's Way has still held on to this top floor. Wolfspur has gone down. Drix went down just before then, bringing it to a 4v4. And no, SPACESHOOBS is going to have a difficult time actually pushing into the site. They still don't have this vert control, but they need to try to do something now with the time getting so low. They're going to elect to try and just push their way into square to make their way into X position, maybe get all the way across into that safe plant position in the corner. Reapers and XGS will trade on the front door, and that's the diffuser as well. Someone's going to have to rotate around. Luckily, Teddy is there to pick it right back up. There's only 20 seconds left. They need to try to make something happen here. The defense is still holding strong. Schmink gets a kill onto Teak, bringing the man advantage in their favor. They'll have enough bodies to hold this down, but the smoke grenade lands in the wrong spot. It's going to blind them as they try to walk through, and that is so detrimental. But HUD is now in a 1v2, needs to try to swing around. You needed to try to stop the plant, but it was getting held.
The plant wasn't going down. He had the case in hand. What
Did he?
What was he doing? He was the one who picked it up from exhibition. He's just lost his mind.
I guess so.
Wow, what a toss.
Yeah,
I mean,
wow. That's a fourth attacking round for SPACESHOOBS.
I mean, just wow. I mean, I have to give credit where credit is due. I was bashing Teddy before for going 0-5. He's really slapped some water on his face, really done a jumping jack or something, because he's currently now 8-7 going positive. He's now joined up there with the big boys of making those big plays that decide the round. Beautifully played out here by SPACESHOOBS. I mean, that last kill was a little bit interesting for No Mama's Way, but I mean, beautifully executed. They managed to bring that pressure back in regardless of who got traded out. They always had a man to back them up. The case went loose. Don't worry about it. There's another man to just pick up and get right back to business. They had the verticality. They had the direct pressure onto site, and that's beautiful. The type of teamwork that you like to see, especially when they go to the match point, and it's very well deserved.
They did win that round, but it felt so chaotic, right? Like, XGS goes down with like 25 seconds left, like with the diffuser, and at that point they know where the diffuser's going to come from, and they even messed up a smoke grenade on that door. I think that meant to go a little deeper than it did and not be just before the only door that they could really walk in through. Luckily, despite that fact, only one of them goes down, and they're able to just win their gunfights despite just walking through a smoke and just being blind. And it felt really messy. But so I want to see them maybe make it a little less messy, make it a little more convincing. They are on match point, so they have an opportunity to close this out here. That would require a 5-1 attacking half, but so far this entire map has been attacker-sided, and a runout comes out from Reapers, takes down Toaster, who was not the wiser of that runout even happening. The refrag is not there. Wolfspur watching to make sure that there isn't a repeat, but he is long gone at that point, and that's an early man advantage for No Mama's Way to maybe pull this into 6-6.
they look to try to force it into OT. Having that first pick definitely is going to help you out. You've taken care of the man who's 3-10, but looking past his role, he is the Grim, and it's so important upstairs for the specific site that you have that man. Ying's still left on the board alongside with Gridlock, meaning regardless of what happens, you are going to have utility getting tossed in. It becomes a problem, especially when you don't see that Goyo on the board. So much left to do. Beautiful use of the frag grenades. Tico go down, will be finished off. Volsper to get the next, and now it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, we may be approaching the end of the game. I don't like to say the word impossible, but with the amount of utility getting slapped on in, no verticality established, and Volsper running around with that shotgun like a madman, he's taking care of anybody who walks into his crosshairs. You've tried to isolate the gunfight with the Monty, but there's a man waiting for you on the window. You have the attackers circling like sharks now. There's one defender for 3 attackers, and that will be match as SPACESHOOBS close out the deficit, advance, and take the match point oh so easily in a beautiful fashion and take it 7-5.
A really nice job for SPACESHOOBS to kind of almost break expectations. You can even see it in the chat, a 5-1 attack on Consulate. Both these teams really showing up to kind of subvert expectations for what you might think would happen on a Consulate. I really liked a lot of these attacks. Some of them got a little bit chaotic, but most of them seemed they had a very good game plan. You could see by the way that they were moving around the map on the attack, the operators that they were bringing. It was really nicely well done out of really both of these teams. It just ended up that SPACESHOOBS was just a little bit better on the day.
100%. I mean, man, I would have loved to see an upset. I had my bets on SPACESHOOBS the whole time, but I just know no MAMES way we're gonna put up a fight. We knew the expectation going into the game was both teams had played on this map. They know what the objective is, and it was only one to show up. 7-5 isn't a horrible scoreline, but it is when you take into consideration that no MAMES way had a 4-2 split lead when they were switching onto defense and they gave it up. They had that timeout. They addressed perfectly what was going to happen in their next round, and they managed to win it. But it's just not enough when a team builds up their momentum.